guys, I have a lot to update you on this week, so let's get right into it. So I have been finding myself obviously a lot more tired this week. I think it's just going to increasingly get more and more tired, so that's probably going to be in every week. I'm more tired. My belly, I think, has gotten bigger. I've had a few more comments on my belly than before. I noticed my belly was getting bigger, but I think people are only just starting to really see it now. I've had a few people be like, oh wow, you've popped now, so you'll see that at the end. I've been kind of having Braxton Hicks for a little while now, but I've been having them a lot more regularly this week. They're definitely a lot more frequent. I think that might be connected to what I'm going to tell you later on in the video, which is, I mentioned when I uploaded my last video that I was sick actually on my birthday, and I went into hospital, so I'll get to that at the end. I'm just going to list all the other symptoms that I was having through the week that I had noted beforehand, and then, because this happened at the end of the week, basically into the week 32. I've been having a lot of itching, actually, just as I'm saying it, I'm itching. I've been having a lot of itching all over. It started off on my ankles, then it went onto my wrists and up my forearms, a little bit on my palms and my soles of my feet. It only happened once on my soles of my feet and only a couple of times on my palms. It's worse everywhere else. And I did mention it to my midwife when I saw her a couple of days ago, and she didn't seem too concerned. At the time I hadn't had any itching on my palms or my soles of my feet, and she said that's more what to be worried about. So, and then I had one episode of that itching on my soles of my feet, so I'm kind of just trying to keep an eye on it and see if I need to go and get further investigation or not. But obviously itching can be a sign of OC, which is honestly some sort of liver problem. I can't pronounce it, so another term for it is ICP. But it's definitely getting worse, so I am starting to get a little bit concerned. Ooh, she just handed me her book. Her godmother actually got her this. It's really cool. She's still a bit young to really appreciate the stories in it at the moment, but she will, I'd say, love it when she's a little bit older. What's that? Oh, Dinosaur Roar! She loves that book for some reason. You gonna read it to me? I was also starting to think that the baby was engaged, so I was really kind of curious to see if it was when I went to see the midwife this time, because I felt like my heartburn was a little bit less and I felt really heavy down below. That made me think that maybe the baby had engaged. That heaviness has kind of gone away. Maybe the baby had engaged temporarily and came back out. I know that they can do that with the second. I've been finding it more difficult to sleep at night. Yeah, just I could be exhausted and I'll still be awake longer than I want to be, and up and down and going to get a drink. And part of it as well is having to go to the toilet and feeling like, actually, do you know what? A lot, now that I go through the symptoms, a lot of things are making sense right now. And you'll see what I mean in a couple of minutes. I mean, those are really my symptoms for this week, and I turned 32 weeks on the 12th of September, which was my birthday, and I had planned to do this video on that day. I had planned to do a couple of other videos on that day, and we had a lot of plans for my birthday, you know, going out for food and going to the cinema and having just a nice day, and it really didn't work out how we wanted. So I woke up at 6:30 in the morning and I was just not feeling great. I went to go to the toilet and then got back into bed, and I had this burning feeling in my tummy, I guess like an acidic-y burny feeling in my tummy. So I had the burning pain and I was a little bit concerned by that. That very quickly turned from just a burning pain into what felt like waves of pain with the burning pain, but then also it just kind of over, I think the next like 2 hours or so, it developed into basically into mild contractions. Like, I've obviously been through labour before, and of course your memory's a little bit off about it, but I remember what it was like to have contractions when I was in labour with Robin, so I know the difference between like really like full-on proper labour contractions. Now these were contractions that I had after my waters broke, so I was farish along, so it felt like a milder version of these. So I thought, God, what if I'm in like early labour? And that's why they're not too severe. I could still sort of talk through them and breathe through them, and you know, they weren't completely debilitating, but they were pretty severe. Like, they're pretty intense contractions, and they were not regular. I was timing them somewhere every 2 minutes. At first they were every 2 minutes, and I was getting really worried, and then they reduced down to every 10 minutes. So I contacted the midwife, and I also got up and about and moving, because apparently they say that Braxton Hicks don't hurt, but they do say that some people get painful Braxton Hicks. So I thought, well, they tell you the way to tell the difference is if you can move around and it relieves it. That's a good sign that it's not real labour. So I was up and moving around, hoping that it would reduce the pain a little bit, and it didn't seem to be doing much. So I ended up going into the maternity ward. We obviously had to do it in quite a rush. Luckily Brett was off that day, so we didn't have to call in sick for work. So we just dropped Robin off at her nanny's, Brett's mum's, and went straight into the hospital, and they went through all the questions. They checked my urine and stuff like that, and then they put me on a monitor, which it sort of can tell like your contractions. It like monitors the baby's heart rate. I think it monitors the baby's heart rate when you contract as well, so to see like how the baby's responding to the contractions. It does a lot, and most of the information is stuff that only the doctors and nurses really and midwives would be able to understand. 2, 3. Yay! Again? Once you start something. Right. 1, 2, 3. Where was I? They were monitoring the baby's heartbeat, and they were monitoring my contractions and how often I had to click a button every time I felt the baby move. And I mean, even with Robin it was the same, but the baby would move so much when I was on that monitor. Oh, thank you. Oops. Oopsies. The baby moved, I think it was something like 50 something times in the space of an hour, which is, you know, this baby's great for moving. I haven't had much of a worry with that so far. Careful! Which is great. No! You don't hit me. Yeah, so the baby moves loads. That's not really a concern for me with this pregnancy, which is great. It's always great to have that reassurance, having a baby that moves so much. When the midwife checked my sheet at the end, she was like, "Oh wow, you really are having like some pretty strong contractions." She was like, "Can you can you feel them?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can feel them. That's why I'm in here." She definitely was concerned when she saw that, and I think all I know is this machine was able to like pick up my contractions, which was great because it was able to confirm that it was definitely happening, and you know, it wasn't just something else or whatever, you know, and I hadn't come in and wasted the midwife's time. Not that it's ever a waste of time, but you know. They then checked me and everything was fine as far as like my cervix was high, I wasn't dilating, I wasn't like anywhere close to like being in labour by looks wise, so that was a really good sign. And then they did this test called a fetal fibronectin test, which if it comes back negative, it's your 99% chance of not going into labour in the next 2 weeks. If it comes back positive, there's a good chance that you might go into labour in the next 2 weeks, but it could be wrong. They usually are hoping for a negative when they do this test. The positive doesn't really help them as much as getting a negative result does. And mine came back negative, which was great, so it meant that my contractions were not really doing anything. So they did test my urine and they found signs of a urinary tract infection, which at the time I was like, well, I haven't had any symptoms or anything, no, you know, like, because if I had had symptoms I would have went to a doctor, you know, so I didn't realise. But actually in hindsight I may have, now that I think of it. I may have had some symptoms and I was just putting them down to pregnancy symptoms, like, you know, needing to go to the toilet and then not really producing much when I needed to go, but I thought that was just baby sort of sitting on my bladder or like sitting low or, you know, something like that. I just kind of blamed it on baby, not thinking, you know, because I didn't have the typical like burning or anything like that, or any like kidney pain or, you know, any of that sort of stuff. So anyway, apparently those contractions were all down to a UTI, and at the time I was like, I don't know, I can't believe a UTI would cause those. Like, they were really intense contractions for, like, to me, I'm like, for just being from a UTI. But then it turns out like a UTI can actually cause you to go into preterm labour if it's undiagnosed and like that, causing contractions, and it can eventually irritate your uterus to a point that you actually go into labour. It can actually happen. So they gave me some painkillers for the contractions, which, I mean, they worked probably to some extent, but they didn't help an awful lot. That was my eventful birthday. So anyway, it was all just down to a UTI. But it was crazy and scary and kind of just hit home that we're really not prepared yet. I mean, the cot's set up, the drawers are now organised, but they weren't. I had things everywhere. When I put your trousers, oh! When I put your trousers on? Yeah. Nope. And, you know, we've got all the big items, but there's just the last few minutes, like last few bits to organise. I still haven't organised my hospital bag, and I sort of thought, well, I've still got time, I'm only 32 weeks, and I went overdue with Robin, so, you know, but now, after that scare, I'm definitely in a hurry to start organising my hospital bag, so you're going to be seeing the video on that pretty soon, in the next couple of weeks, I would say. I'm feeling an awful lot better. It's been a couple of days now since the 12th, and I'm feeling whole lot better. I'm pretty much back to my usual self. I'm still taking the medicine for the antibiotics for the infection. I have to take it all completely, otherwise it might come back. So I'm still on that, and I'm still having a lot of Braxton Hicks contractions, but nothing painful. So I think that's just probably normal, or maybe the tail end of like the contractions. But I'm not worried, obviously. And to make things matters worse, or a cherry on the cake, shall we say, Brett now not well. There's been a little bit of a vomiting bug going around, and he's got it. He wasn't well last night. He was up all night. Well, not all night, but a lot of the night. Very unwell. And I'm just hoping that me and Robin don't end up with it. I don't want to be sick again. And Robin won't deal well with it either. So fingers crossed that it doesn't get passed on to us. But knowing our luck right now, we're all going to end up sick. So yeah, poor Brett. He's not well right now, but things are settling down now, and I can get back into my videos again, because I took a little bit of a break, obviously, when I wasn't feeling well. I had a video ready. My last video that I uploaded was ready to go on the Monday evening. I just had to do the thumbnail, and I thought, okay, I'll do that tomorrow morning on a Tuesday. I think it was on the Tuesday. Whatever day my birthday was, I was going to do on the morning of my birthday. I was going to do the thumbnail, upload it, get it sorted. And then of course I wasn't well and went in the hospital, and so it didn't get uploaded until yesterday, I think it was, Thursday. So sorry about that, but I have a pretty valid excuse. But don't worry, I have this video coming up, and I have another over the weekend. I've got another couple of videos planned. I'm actually going to have Brett in a couple of videos in the next month or so. He's going to be in a couple of videos, so stay tuned for that, because that's going to be fun. He's quite shy and he doesn't like being videoed. Like, this is all my idea, I want to do this YouTube thing, but he's being very good and very supportive of it. I mean, sure, he bought me the laptop for my birthday so that I could do the editing that I need to and all that, so bless him. He is supporting it, and he has agreed to go on and do some videos with me, because obviously I want to introduce my boyfriend to you guys. Yeah, so please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys have experienced something similar to what I have with the contractions and it just being caused by a UTI, or maybe caused by something else. I don't know if that can happen again by something else that's not a UTI. But yeah, please leave a comment. This is probably going to end up being a long one, because I've had a few interruptions with Robin. Don't know how this video's actually gone, but it's all part of the fun. Alright, bye!